Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back for the fourth episode of Off Court Podcast. We are the paddle podcast covering all your paddle needs. I'm Connor, and I'm joined by my co-host Hugh. Thank you very much for coming back, and if you're new, welcome. I hope you're kind of living off the highs of the Barcelona finals that happened just last night. Me and Hugh are kind of over the moon a little bit because we were just kind of like in our heads going, what the hell just happened? Which is probably what we're going to cover most today. But before we do that, we have a few icebreakers for the returning fans or the people who watch. We aren't in our normal setup today. We are abroad. And that's partly because Hugh is away in Barcelona. As I mentioned, he was there for the quarterfinals, which we're going to cover a little bit today. But as always, we like to ask each other how we're doing. Hugh, how's everything going? How's everything in Barcelona?
Good, man. Thank you. Yeah. Nice to experience the off-court podcast in this new form, which is also like exciting and really cool. So, but yeah, I'm good, man. Back in Barcelona now, my hometown for Christmas. Nice seeing friends and family. Been playing some paddle as well here in the motherland, and last Friday, I was in the quarterfinals of the Barcelona finals, which was a crazy, I mean, we'll talk about it now, but yeah, crazy experience. But I'm doing good. Excited for Christmas. How are you doing, man? How's everything?
Yeah. I forgot to mention it in our opener there, but yes, I am wearing a Christmas hat for those who celebrate, Merry Christmas, and for those who are just waiting for New Year's, Happy New Year. But we thought we tried and might make it a little bit more festive for you guys and get into the Christmas spirit and the holiday spirit. So yeah, not playing paddle at all. All the people I play paddle with are out of the country or with their family, with their friends. So I am craving a little bit of a paddle to go outside IRL and, slap a couple balls around with my mates, which is what we love to do. But yeah, everything is great besides that. And yeah, just excited for just some holidays and spending some time with the family. But more importantly, I shouldn't say importantly, but after what we witnessed last night with the Barcelona finals, I think we kind of had to jump on here straight away and run through it, man. So, obviously we're going to be talking about the Barcelona finals today. As I said, we want to touch a little bit on I don't know how Hugh describes it, if it's the 12 hours of madness being locked inside I forgot the name of the stadium in Barcelona, but being locked inside there for, what was it, 12 hours, Hugh, you were inside there? Let's get into it now. And I want you to tell us a little bit about what you experienced. I've never seen professional paddle played in real life, and I think it was your first time. So I kind of want the lowdown. What was the scoop? What was it like seeing people pop balls out the court, hitting salidas, running out, and, all the sort of tasty paddle content that you experienced?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. First time, as you said, watching professional paddle live in real life. The stadium Palau Sant Jordi, which is a really big one here in Barcelona, probably the biggest one, apart from Camp Nou, obviously. And yeah, it was fun, but also like pretty exhausting because we got there at 2 p.m. and I promise you we were there until 2 a.m. It
Crazy.
was 4 games. The shortest game was 2 hours and a half. I saw the crazy 3-hour quarterfinal between Coki, John Sanz, Stupa Yanguas, which was mental. Yeah. Really slow court, as we'll get into it further into the episode, but that kind of makes, rallies be really long. Players playing very safe, super long rallies. So yeah, but it was fun. Just ate a lot of Frankfurts.
Yeah.
A lot of hot dogs,
I asked Hugh because I was messaging him throughout the day, and I was like, dude, are you still there, dude? I think you've been there for like almost 10 hours, man. And I was like, what have you been eating? He's like, dude, all they've got is hot dogs here, man. I'm on my third hot dog. I've eaten 3 different types of hot dogs. Like, I was like, oh my God, bro. Like, how do you, what is this really the full experience? When you go for a quarters, I mean, this is the Barcelona finals, right? you get a lot of content, and I'm always curious how digestible it is. And is there a point where you get a bit of paddle fatigue after watching, each game that you watch probably went to the third set as well. It wasn't like a quick 30 minutes second set winner. So I think you really got the most out of your ticket to the Barcelona finals, Hugh.
Yeah, I mean, every single game was like that. Every single game was 3 sets. Every single match, sorry, was 3 sets, which was, crazy. I sent Connor a video. He was like, "Oh, yo, you still there?" It was like 1 a.m. And I just sent him a video with my eyes like, oh my God, I've watched like 10 hours of paddle and I've still got like 1 set to go. But, man, it was super fun. Kind of, starstruck a little bit, seeing, I got to watch and see in the flesh like the top paddle players in the world, Stayed until the end, saw Chingaran. I was excited about seeing Alegalan in the flesh, which was really cool. And that was actually probably the best game, the most entertaining game.
Mm-hmm.
Chingalan versus Momo Alonso. And it was, I want to go again. Hopefully go to like semis or final, because I guess maybe those are more exciting games. But I really feel really privileged to go there. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you feel privileged, and I just have pure jealousy. I'll be honest. So I don't know.
We'll go, man. We'll go. We'll go together.
I think it should be a goal for us for off court generally. Like when the 2025 calendar comes out next year, or very soon, I think in the next few weeks, we should pick one. And maybe if you guys let us know in the comments down below if there's a one in particular that we should go and see. Obviously, we're based in London. I'm super excited for the US to get added to the calendar. I know that's already confirmed, but I have no idea where, when it's happening. But yeah, something a little bit closer to home would be great. But I do have, before we move on, I have 2 questions, and I want to know who made you feel the most starstruck out of all the players you saw? And I'll double barrel this question. Outside of the players, did you see anyone else there, maybe from the paddle world, that you might have had a lot of respect to, as we are just sort of starting this new venture here, creating paddle content. We've already been quite acquainted with the other people around the space, and it's really nice to kind of connect with people like that also have the same ambitions and interests and passions as us. So it was a bit of a wordy question, Hugh, but I think what I'm asking.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah. So for the first question, I think Ale Galan was probably the I guess he was the biggest star of the day. But I'll tell you what, Yang West kind of surprised me. He was very he's quite bigger, taller.
How close were you?
It's pretty cool because unless you get some like really, really specifically bad seats, you've got a pretty decent view of the court. So I was like on I was sort of opposite where the coaches are, where they sit down for their breaks. So I was sort of facing them when they were sitting down in between the games. So I had a very like lateral, I guess,
which I think
vision.
is probably the best, not the best angle you could possibly get, but you get to see the play style from both sides really, instead of having their backs to you.
It's all about perspective, right? You want to kind of see the entire court, but you also want to not lose perspective, like depth of field with the lobs.
Yeah, exactly.
And defense and stuff, But yeah, Yang West was quite tall, which surprised me. And then, yes, thank you for mentioning that, because I actually, probably the most starstruck I got, which is a combination of both questions, was when I met Pablo from the 4th set.
There we go.
One of the biggest paddle content creator in the world. He does, if you guys don't know him, we'll put his socials and his YouTube channel here in the description somewhere. He's incredible. He makes really, really solid content around paddle with the players, training like Coello, training like Tapia, super interesting interviews with coaches, with players. And he's got also a an English channel, a channel
Yeah.
in English. So his main one is in Spanish, but then he's also got an English one. If you guys don't know him, definitely check him out. And I got to meet him and chat to him, and hopefully, you know, soon maybe we can collab with him, which would be an absolute, yeah, it would be amazing if we could do that.
It would be a pleasure. I always compare, you know, in my mind, he's essentially like the Mr. Beast of the paddle world, because I don't know who's out here like making translated videos for 2 different audiences, and you know, it's already a lot of work making, you know, one sort of stream of content, let alone 2 in different languages. So, you know, props to Pablo, and I'm sure, you know, you've all seen his videos. So that's so cool that you saw him in person, and
he's the nicest guy, man. He's the nicest, most genuine human. Which was amazing. And before we move on, Connor already knows about this, but I got like a really cool thing from the tournament that we'll probably reveal in the next episode when we're in the flesh. I think it's worth doing it on camera.
There's so much of me that wants to tell them now, but I don't know if you guys want to guess what it is. It's obviously something paddle related, right? But it's especially, you know, really important considering the outcome of the finals now, that it adds an extra level of gravity to its importance. So you can take a guess what it is. But yeah, definitely when me and me and Hugh are back in the studio, we'll do a nice little reveal for you guys, and it's something really cool for us. So So yeah, it was we sent Hugh out there, and we came back with lots of toys. So we're really happy about that, even though I didn't get to go. But yeah, Hugh, that sounds amazing, man. Honestly, I think it's something that, you know, people who are just into paddle as much as we are, like, we've got to go and watch the games. We've got to go to watch games. I would love if they added London or anywhere in the UK on the Premier Padel calendar. Hopefully that happens at some point, but if not, I'm willing to go to the closest country just to watch these guys do it. So yeah, you had a really lovely experience by the sounds of it.
It was, man. It was amazing. And you actually learn a lot by watching paddle live in real life. There is a difference between watching it on TV and live. Some good things and some bad things, actually.
Will you be smashing from the back of the court now after watching Galan?
Yeah, all I had to do was watch Galan hit a few smashes, and I mean,
just studying Tapia's gem smash the whole time. You're like, perfect. I'm gonna be doing that next time I'm on the court.
I was watching it and being like, I could be there. Coach, put me in. Come on, man.
The levels of delusion with paddle are incredible,
crazy.
But that's why we love it, huh? Yeah, it's not until we see the ball fly into the back of the wall or out of the court into the sky, and we go, okay, we played the wrong move there. But yeah, that sounds amazing. But I'm kind of gagging to get onto the next.
Let's do it.
The point here, which is crazy, guys. What the hell happened? What the hell happened? Look, the amount of pairings that were sort of made it to the finals, right, to the Barcelona finals. I don't think anyone would have put Coki and John Sanz forward as the people to get there, let alone win the Barcelona finals. I think it's such a poetic moment, right? It's something that we would never. I would never put my money on it. I'm not a gambling man, but it's insane, right? Like, just watching that game shift halfway through was insane. Obviously, we're gonna run through it right now, but it's hard to contain yourself because we got the final that I think we've wanted for the last, I don't know, 6 months, I guess, after Coello and Tapia have just sort of dominated, which we've mentioned many a time. We thought Chingalan could do it. If it wasn't Chingalan, was it Stupa Yanguas? And the answer was no. So really, like, well done, really well done. Hats off to Coki and John, because they put on a hell of a fucking show. And and really, I'd love to. We've kind of held ourselves back, but I'd really love to hear what Hugh has to say about it as well, and what Hugh's experience was watching it, because we were WhatsApping each other, and it was just like we were vibrating at that point. And yeah, let's run through it. How the hell did Coki Nieto and John Sanz beat Coello and Tapia?
Yeah, I mean, it was, again, just to sort of give my initial thoughts on this. It felt like we definitely live in a simulation. Like, we're in the Matrix and things are set up in a certain way, because it couldn't have been more poetic and cinematic. The last game of the season, you know, like the drama was all there, the pressure was there. No one thought, you know, that the giant slayers, they call them now, Nieto and Sanz. No one thought that would be the game or the pair to dethrone the Kings. Not dethrone, but like finally beat them after, since the beginning of July, they haven't lost a single match, which is insane. And yeah, I mean, I loved it. I was like, this is sick. This is why we love paddle. And after I guess there were a few upsets, but it wasn't the most, especially with the court and the conditions of the court, which we'll get into later.
Yep.
It wasn't like the most exciting of tournaments, and it wasn't like the best paddle we've seen. You know, there were quite a few, very slow court, not a lot of show, I guess. But this final was mental. But yeah, I guess let's get just to touch on that, because I think it's something that we're going to save to talk about a little bit at the end of the episode. But yeah, you're right. You know, it's kind of like, you know, definitely the eye candy and the, you know, when paddle gets to really show off its uniqueness and flair, it is, I personally believe, on faster courts. We want to see the smashes, we want to see the quick rallies. When, you know, it's a slow court, the technicality increases so much, right? Players are going to be taking, you know, much safer shots than they would if it's a faster court. And, you know, it kind of affects the feeling of the game. So, you know, they all had to adjust, especially because they had such a short amount of time to sort of figure each other's tweaks out, I guess, on a slower court. And Coki and John did that, and they managed to unpick Coello and Tapia. And yeah, I kind of wanted to know where, not the downfall of it, but, you know, what went wrong here? Like, how the hell did we end up with this result? You know, a lot of people were, you know, and it kind of felt like it, we're pointing fingers a little bit at Tapia to a certain point. You know, it's a team game at the end of the day, right? So you win and lose together. But there were definitely some shots from Tapia halfway through the game where I was like, okay, dude. Even the camera cut close to him, and you can see, you know, these guys have won so much. And when, you know, I think it was a drop shot or something that went to the mesh, and you just see Tapia go like, whoop, I don't know what's happening. Something doesn't feel right with me. Like that normally goes in when I hit that shot. Yeah. And it just wasn't going in. So I don't know if it wasn't their day. They were up against a pairing that, you know, they played, I believe this is their fourth time playing. They've won the last 3 times. And obviously, you know, after last night, they claimed their first loss against Coki and John, which is a bit nuts in my opinion. But yeah, you know, where did you think Coello and Tapia sort of took a wrong turn and ended up with a lot of pressure on them? I mean, there's quite a few things to talk about here in this match. But I think we'll just start with, as you said, Tapia's unforced errors. You know, he was missing. He's a player that, I mean, you know, absolute talent, and we don't need to talk about it. We know what Tapia is, who Tapia is. But he does make, you know, generally a few unforced errors per game, and Coello can kind of like cover those mistakes a bit. This game, he did make an extra few that was just maybe like a bit too much, which wasn't, I guess, the determining factor of the game, but that was something that did happen. And I think, you know, we've spoke about it before as well. It's a pairing, the Golden Boys, that if one isn't playing their best, the other one can carry the team, you know?
Yeah.
Just, you know, take on the weight, and because individually they're crazy players. So Coello can usually, I guess, balance out this this unbalance, balance out the scale, you know, a little bit. But this time he couldn't do it. To be fair, it wasn't the best of Coello's games. But yeah, I don't know if you want to say something about this. Like, what did you think?
I mean, really, the coin flipped. I'm not going to reference the exact game it was or what point of the match, but you know, we went into that game going, all right, look, this should be an easy win for Coello and Tapia, right? It's they're in terms of their seed or ranking, they're nowhere near them. So my expectations going into this was like, okay, it's going to be an anticlimactic finals. We kind of know which way this is going to go. We've simulated this game in our head a bunch of times, and as you said earlier, we got the one anomaly where it wasn't the result that anyone was expecting. So I think in terms of entertainment, we got the best way to end this like incredible season so far. Just to sort of go into where I thought the downfall was, and I'll agree with Sandy, who was also from the Great Paddle School. He was commentating throughout the whole weekend, which he is super great. But he was not picking on Tapia a lot. But there was a moment where the game shifted, and it was mentioned that Tapia was trying to add a little bit too much flair on his winners here, and that kind of caused them to lose momentum, which I actually really agree with. I think Coki and John saw that happen as well, and they capitalized on it, and they pushed, and they got that second set. And then it's kind of like the game resets here. They both have one under their belt. Everything that they've just worked for the last 2 hours is kind of gone to nothing, really. And it's all about riding momentum. And if you look into the mentality of, okay, Coki and John had nothing to lose, and maybe we can tell the way how Coello and Tapia win. The pressure is definitely there for them, but they know how to handle it. But yeah, definitely they had the pressure and they fumbled the bag. They also had to go against sort of Coki's consistency as well, right? Like he is probably one of the most consistent players that I've watched, which is just incredible. You can put him in most positions and he won't even sort of back out or feel awkward, and he can just play every ball back, which is probably one of the most important things that you should be able to do. If you can't do anything sick, just return the ball and really then keep the ball in play. And that's all you kind of have to do. And I think we witnessed that.
Yeah, I mean, play safe, right? That's what Nieto does best. Looking here at the stats, 6 unforced errors by Coki, 17 each for Coello and John Sanz, and then 22 from Tapia. In total, 39 unforced errors for the Golden Boys and 23 for Nieto Sanz. That's a pretty big difference there.
Yeah.
Talking about the unforced errors. And yeah, Nieto, I think he's an incredible player and talent, and he will be getting better and better. Interesting to see him next season with Yanguas, what he does. But I mean, I guess going further into it, there was one point where I think in the third set, I guess what I also wanted to say was, I think Coki and John what they did really well was capitalize on a tiny window of opportunity that just opened up. There's this tiny door that just opened up a little bit, and they just kicked through it. They were like, "This is it. This is it." I mean, if we either go ham now, because they're weak, which they never are.
Yes.
Or like, this is our only chance. Even like, Coki said, like dreaming is free. It doesn't cost any money. When they asked him about, can you dream here at the Barcelona finals? He said, yeah. He admitted, he was like, our chances of winning this final are very slim, but we will do our best. So I think that's something they did really well. I think in the third set, in one of the breaks, the coach, Nieto and Sanz's coach was like, I don't want you guys to lose points at the net. Lose them on the smash if you want. Just lob them, because that's something that there's nothing we can do about that. We have to lob at some point, and yes, unless it's perfect, most likely they're just going to try and hit a smash winner.
Yeah.
But don't let them gain that, because again, a massive net pressure by the Golden Boys.
Exactly.
And they just can dunk it on you.
Yeah, and it's you give them a short lob and it's game over. Even if you give them a good lob, you know what I mean. The percentage of them incredible. Hitting it back, and it's just like a rocket that pops out the court on a slow court. Let's not forget that. We saw the amount of times that John or Coki tried to run out, and they did sometimes return the ball, but I think there was one point where I think it must be Coello who is a Portres out the court. It was Coki that returned it in, and you just see Tapia push it to the back of the court. And, that's like the the insanity of this game because you think you can do the impossible, and there's a whole level of more impossible, things that were achieved, right? And it's just incredible to see, really.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I don't know if there was like a certain type of, tactic or shot that Coki and John kind of stuck to try. You said they found this window of opportunity. What was that window of opportunity, right?
I
You
mean,
can see the mental shift, but was there something in particular were they doing that they were taking advantage of, do you think?
yeah, I think what they did really well. So just to go on the smashes you were saying before,
Yeah.
because the numbers are crazy.
Yeah, hit us with it.
62 smashes by Tapia and Coello. Winners out of those, 28.
Yeah.
20 combined, both Tapia and Coello, 28 out of 62 smashes. Slow court again, but like pretty poor numbers. But 62 attempts is crazy against 22 attempts by Coki and Sanz.
Yeah,
combined.
there you go. That's insane, dude. What the hell?
It's insane. So they were smashing a lot, not with a lot of effectiveness, but they were smashing. But yeah, coming back to your question, we're paddle nerds. We love this, but it was so cool to see. I was like, this is it. This is how you do it, because their chiquitas, Coki and John Sanz's chiquitas, were on point. It felt to me that it was their best weapon this game. You can't lob them, okay? So no lobs. Super strong on the net. They cover all angles. The entire court is covered. They've got two dominant hands in the middle. Over 70% of the court is covered by that. And then they just move like crazy. Their placement is insane, etc., etc. But the chiquitas, which is interesting because a smash is a sort of, I guess, dominant winner shot where you can just, you can't really, I guess, predict it or do anything against it. You throw a lob, and if they got a good smash, they will smash, and you just try and get it, try and touch the ball if you can.
Yeah.
Chiquitas are more of like a surprise resource. You can't just win a game based on chiquitas, because by the fifth time you do the chiquita, they already know. They can anticipate that, and they can counter it. You can't really, I guess, counter a smash, or a super aggressive volley. But they were doing that so that Coki and John could go to clash on the volleys, right? Which is, I guess, one of the only options you have. So they would chiquita them, and then they'd go on the net. Combine the fact that the Golden Boys' accuracy wasn't the best, quite a bit inaccurate. They gave them a lot of points, and by the end of it, they were finding more space than usual. Maybe because of this window of opportunity that I was saying. They did get quite a few winners on the Golden Boys that weren't smashes, that were just like well-placed volleys.
Yeah.
And just, I guess, putting the Golden Boys out of position and finding the space there, which was actually really cool to see. And by the end, like, more angles were discovered and exploited, I don't know if you found like any sort of, are there any other things that the Giant Slayers did to beat
I think
these behemoths?
Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting now. It doesn't feel like we've your Coki and John cracked a code last night, because it seems on a basic level like really self-explanatory, right? And it's something that I'm curious why we haven't seen Chingalan try or Stupa Yanguas, and maybe it's down to the conditions of the court. We'll talk about it in a bit when we come to when we talk about the speed of the court, but it's almost like this court evolution, and the characteristics of the court and how they change from the beginning of the tournament towards the end, and we'll go into more depth on that in a bit. But it kind of makes sense. Like, everyone knows that Coello and Tapia's strengths are their smashes, right? If you give them that easy ball, it's game over, and they're going to kill you for it. Why aren't people putting them in positions where they can't put that much power behind it? When that ball drops over the net and they have to return much lower, and they can't put that much speed or power, and it's all more about placement. Why isn't that really happening when we see players take Coello and Tapia on, really. Like, that just seems like the most straightforward thing to do. That is super effective, and it's nothing special, but it's really them sticking to the basics of paddle, which we saw a lot this weekend come into play, especially at this professional level. Like, why is that not a thing that troubles Coello and Tapia as much as we've seen, prior to the rest of the season? These are all intelligent players, and yeah, it was kind of great to see Coello and Tapia look at each other and go, I don't know what's happening right now, dude. I don't know. We're smiling, but we're also going, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think it's anything that I have to sort of extract from the game, but I just thought that it was a great use of strategy and tactics that Coki and John absolutely abused Coello and Tapia on. And yeah, it's just great to see. It hyped me up. It was crazy, man. Like, it was actually just crazy seeing that game shift. It was amazing. The first half, I said it already, was just, typical game. And then there was just a coin flip moment where, the storyline changes. And yeah, the amount of emotion being played with Coki and John also were, that's their last game, guys. And they got to the Barcelona finals and they didn't even lose. They beat the ranked number 1 team together, and they have to leave the court and go, and obviously they're going to hug and be emotional, but they shake each other's hands and go, that was great, we're moving on. Like, I don't know what that feeling is when you have, especially they're together for 2 seasons. You see a lot of players shift around a lot. I mean, maybe it's based on their personality. I'm thinking of LeBron, who's probably, maybe a little bit more of a handful to deal with as a partner, right? And that's probably why he's gone through 3 different partners in one season. But yeah, I don't know how I'd feel, sitting back in the car at night, going back to the hotel room after winning the Barcelona finals and knowing that the person that you've just spent the last 2 years playing with isn't going to be, on your side next season, right? And I think it's a testament to them, right? I think it's like what is possible, right, for the people who aren't, not even the top 3 seeds, right? I think it's a great demonstration of the level that these people play at. That it doesn't matter that they're ranked 7 and 8 or whatever. Like, they can bring it and they can still play you, and they're going to give you a hard time. It doesn't matter what the narrative is. If it's you're going up against the number 1s, it's something that you can disprove, and I think we experienced that last night. So yeah, I kind of just rambled on a little bit there, but
No.
It was amazing, man.
I completely agree that what must that feel like? I guess they're just used to it. I guess it's just like, you make the decision to separate from your partner, and then all of a sudden you play the game of your lives together. I wonder if there's a moment where you're like, did I just make a bad decision? Like, I've already, I guess, signed contracts, and I've told this other player that, yes, but at the end of the, and you can't just base your decisions off of one game. You can have a really good game. Just before we move on, I just want to touch on like a couple other things.
Hit us with it. Yeah.
That I thought were determining factors. Both, especially Nieto, but both of them, they were really finding Coello's feet during that match. It was really cool seeing Nieto, which was kind of like, I guess, unorthodox strategy, but he was playing down the line to Coello quite a bit, finding him down below in the feet. He's usually like not bad at those, Coello, at all, at defending those type of shots, but he is, a really big player. He's really tall. So obviously tall players down below, they'll have more difficulty getting to those shots, or like, I guess, hitting good shots off of those. But yeah, something that they were doing really well, trying to, catch him off balance and stuff. And then I guess we'll get into it, I guess, later in our next highlight about, the how Coki and John got to this point, like their whole journey throughout this tournament. To the
finals.
But something that Sanz was doing really well was he was giving a lot of speed and power to his víboras against Coello on the diagonal, because Coello's amazing at blocking. As we've said before, he doesn't really like to let the ball bounce on his side of the court. He'll just volley from half the court or smash or whatever, just insane pressure. So John Sanz was kind of, I feel like he he caught on to it. He was like, well, I guess I just got to give it more power because then the blocks will be more inaccurate and he'll have less time to react to that. I think that's something he did really, really well. Interesting how it took, I don't know what you think about this, righty-lefty combo to beat the Golden Boys, who are also righty and lefty. Interesting. No?
Yeah, it's funny you said that because we had a clip that went, not viral, but it got a lot of attention, right? And it was kind of Hugh explaining, really what's the most advantageous situation to be in, right? And in terms of your pairing as a partner, and on the right hand side of the court, you want someone who's left hand dominated, and on the left hand side of the court, you want someone who's right hand dominated. And you guys can cover most of the court with your dominant hand and not playing backhand too much. And it logically it makes sense, right? That's something that we're probably going to see become more of a popular situation. Not even popular, but just in terms of a strategic pairing, like it makes the most sense and it gives you the most advantage. And I don't even know what to make of it. I guess it's, does this mean it's all bullshit, really? Like the fact that these two guys can go and disprove, that sort of, strategic to approach to getting the perfect pairing together. Like, what does that really mean? Like, is it a one-off? Are we ever going to see something like this again? Is it, it was too much of it wasn't a freak episode, but it was a lot of unexpected outcomes that, when we start, thinking deeper than just, okay, Coki and John won the finals. But yeah, you're right. They're also a right and lefty playing against, two people who are, dominating in the center of the court. God, I don't know what to make from it. Honestly, it's kind of like, it's just kind of like insane, and really it proves that it doesn't. There isn't one approach to winning and being successful in this sport. I guess there's other tactics, and you have to play your strengths, and I think that's what Coki and John did last night. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it was really special to see, and it was. I mean, amazing. I think something else they did really well was, it's so, if you look at the break points here, and their key point index, Coello and Tapia absolutely dominate Nieto and Sanz in that specific statistic. 2 out of 4 break points for Coello Tapia, 50% success rate in the break points, incredible stat, and then 3 out of 11 for Nieto Sanz. Still goes to show how critical these players are, the Golden Boys, with the break points. And how good they are, and all the chances that Coello and Tapia saved.
Yes.
Even if it's a break point against them, they still play really well in saving the point. And if it's a break point in attack, I guess you could call it that, then they're also really good at winning that. But yeah, I mean, I guess, statistically it's pretty much covered. I really wanted to ask you, because I think there's something we should definitely talk about, and I really want to hear your take on it. Like,
sure,
dude, absolute class act by the Golden Boys at the end of the match, wasn't it?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean that.
Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I love them more, man. I have the utmost respect for their personalities and the people that they want to be, and the people that they aim to be looked up at, in terms of sports figures, right? Like, to not only dominate for the majority of the year, be ranked number 1, come into the Barcelona finals. They, if I could try and step inside their head, I don't want to presume too much, but there's probably a part of them that gave them a lot of confidence that, okay, guys, we have this one in the bag. And considering the way the game changed, right, halfway through that match, it shifted for them. You could see it in Coello and Tapia's eyes that, winning this isn't as easy as they thought. And they really, had to work hard, and it didn't pay off for them at the end. And we got a crazy result for the finals. And the first thing that you see when, obviously your eyes kind of go to Coki and John after that winning game point, right? But to see the Coello and Tapia walk up to the net with the biggest smiles on their faces, with their arms open, and they know how special it is for Coki and John to achieve what they did. I think their emotions were probably at a high as well, right? And they could have, it's a sport, right? You can be competitive. You can at the end of the day, these are your opponents, these are your enemies, and to almost be as happy for them to win as if you were winning the tournament is, I don't know, man. It is a top sort of level of sportsmanship that these guys provide, and it just makes me like them more. I'll be honest. Like, they could have been annoyed, they could have been quiet, they could have just wanted to walk off the court, but they almost celebrated with Coki and John, and I think that's really nice to see. And I think it's important that yes, there's always sort of this competitive element of sports, but it doesn't have to be sour. It just because you didn't win, right? And I think it just makes everything special, and it made me feel a little emotional. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
On a sports level, to see moments like that, I think that's what makes not just paddle special, but sports in general. That's the stuff that gives us goosebumps, right? And we'll remember that. But yeah, I wasn't shedding tears. Maybe you were here, but I'm sure you agree with what I said.
I was close to it though, because as it did get me emotional. I was like, this is so lovely to see, right? I was like, this just makes me love paddle even more, and like, just how. Like, just so mature, man. So mature. So they're really young, all of these players, not all of them, but, generally, like, they're 25 and 23. Obviously, they're big boys. They're adults. But, it's just such a, as I said, like, class act. Shows such a level of maturity. Just imagine what it feels like to be completely unbeatable. And I guess that just, obviously you start to believe it. Obviously, they've got good people around them telling them, like, guys, this is insane. Just so you know, like, this is not normal. You will lose at some point, like, and it'll be fine, But I put myself in that situation, and I would be shattered. I'm still number one. They're still, like, they will be number one next season as well, and I'm sure they'll have an amazing season in 2025. But, but yeah, it's even... I mean, Coki and Coello are like genuinely good friends.
Yes.
On a personal level, they know each other from many years, and playing. They played the final of the World Cup together, and they were just sitting there applauding them. Yeah. They were just like, okay, guys, someone's finally beaten us. This is the final of the finals. That's the thing. That's why it's such a movie, man. Because it was like, it's the last game of the season. I think with this one, I think the Golden Boys would have gone exactly 50 games unbeaten, which would have been a round number as well. Everything was like set up. Everything was like perfect. And they managed to do it. And Coello and Tapia just sat there and applauded them. They let them have their moment. Usually they just like, give a hug. It's not that they're rude, but, players are going through emotions at that moment. They just give them a hug and they get themselves out of the court. I read Tapia's lips. You were telling him, sos un animal, which is like, you're an animal to Coki. Yeah. Before giving him a hug, he was like, you're an animal, like, congrats. And they held their ground.
They did.
Emotionally. They gave space to John and Sanz, and I don't know, man. As you said, it just makes me love them even more, and it's such a great thing to see.
It reinforces their nickname of the Golden Boys, right? They aren't just golden because they win like every bloody game they play, but they play with grace, man, and they have such respect for the other players.
Golden in spirit.
Yeah, exactly. So we can stroke Coello and Tapia's ego all day, But yeah, that's our little piece on that, and I'm sure some of you guys saw that happen, and it's just a real sweet moment to see live on sports, and what a lovely way to end the game, right? It's a nice way they can all go on vacation and have a nice chill time before the season starts. But yeah, that's kind of our little sort of insight into the finals. We have a little bit more to say on some of the other. Maybe not lowlights, but also it's kind of weird. The highlights are also lowlights because we kind of want to follow Coki and John's sort of road to the finals, right? Because I think that kind of mentions or touches on some of the bigger headlines in this tournament, right? They took out Stup and Yanguas in the quarters, which is just insane. I think it was a 3-hour-long game.
I was there. I watched it live.
Hugh, why don't you carry on here and actually give it from your perspective, right? Like, what you were there for the quarters, and what was that like watching that game and seeing the outcome?
That game was crazy. It was one of the most tied games I've ever seen in my life. Just give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find something here, because I kind of want to see, because it was so much of a 1-1, 1-1, 2-1,
Yes.
2-2. You know, it was crazy.
That's what these slow courts did to us, though, dude. Like, it was these games that it was like, okay, one for him, one for this guy, one for him, and it was like the most not frustrating.
I mean,
but
it was 7-6, 6-3, 6-4, super, like 3-hour long game.
Yeah.
They were exhausted by the end of it. As you were saying, sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're good.
It was the slow courts, which I think is something that I guess also we should mention. Coki and John saw it and were able to be like, this can be good for us.
Yeah, they capitalized on it.
We can take advantage of it. They were smart about it, and they played to the court, because they knew that other big players who rely a lot on their smash wouldn't have it so easily this time around. But
so we saw we saw a lot more rouleaus. We saw a lot more playing into the fence, essentially. Not so many smashes. Just more of these technical shots that really make it so much harder to return, especially if that ball's dying at the back of the court.
All of the players, I saw it a lot this tournament, how everyone was really utilizing the fence with rulos, with shots going deep into that corner to try and find the awkward bounce, because it was one of the best tactics, because as we saw, like Galan, Lebron, Coello and Tapia, even them who've still got a lot of winners, but even them were struggling to smash compared to what they usually do. Out of 62 attempts in a final, they would usually get like 40, 50, they got 20 something. So it was really good to see them adapt to that court, and that specific game against Stupa Yanguas. I think they played really well. They played really safe paddle, which could be deemed as boring for a lot of people, which I completely understand. But the players, they do want to put on a show, but also they're there to do a job. Yeah, which is try and play the best paddle, not only for the fans, but for the sake of their careers. And if they have to play a slow game and make it less exciting, that they'll do that. So yeah.
Yeah, and if we, that's on Stupa and Yanguas, which is a huge name to see like step out of the competition. And I won't brush past this game because we should talk about it. But obviously, Coki and John also took out Momo and Edu. But before we get into that, let's talk about Momo and Edu taking out Chingalan in the quarters, right? So we have Stupa Yanguas out. Yeah. We have Chingalan out. Like you can't really predict this, or you can't really ride it. Like these are the names that we've consistently seen get to they're gonna get to the quarters, let alone the semis. And the fact that they were gone in the quarters. Let's talk a little bit about Edu and Momo taking out Chingalan really quickly, and then
I was there for that one as well. Yeah. It was like waiting all day because I really wanted to see Chingalan in the flesh.
Yes.
They started at like midnight. I was like, I'm like overdosing on paddle. This is crazy. To be fair, that was the most exciting game out of all of them. I think Galan had a terrible game. One. I think it was a combination of Galan having a really bad game, not finding his footing throughout the entire match, a lot of unforced errors. His smashes weren't converting either. And honestly, in that quarterfinal, Momo and Edu, their performance was next level. Like both of them were playing one of the best games they've ever played in their life. Momo was everywhere. Edu Alonso was, his lobs were perfect. He was defending like an absolute beast. It was incredible to see, really.
Yeah. Over not just the quarters, but also the semis. Like Edu Alonso's like defense is actually insane. He is like a physical wall. that just like can block every shot. And, you know, going back to the Chingalan game, I really think that's when their eyes just went wide in terms of seeing the finals and in terms of their possible road to getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, I think, you know, for those that watched the Edu Momo, Coki John game, I think those were probably one of the best games of the tournament, I think, because that's where it was probably the most unpredictable pairing that were the semifinals. Knowing that one of these two teams is going through to the final is already a great story. I think their hearts must have been beating outside of their chest, which is, a lot for them to take in. And maybe some of you saw their reactions after the results, which obviously Edu and Momo lost to Coki and John in the semifinals to probably one of the most insane games to take place, especially at the Barcelona finals, right? Like, I don't know, Hugh, what you thought about that game, but I've seen the videos of them after the game. Obviously, they've lost to Coki and John, and they didn't get through to the finals, but you could tell it wasn't tormenting to them, but it was something that they were really gunning for, obviously, right? They want to get to the finals, but it was much closer for them to get than probably a lot of their other tournaments that, I'm not too sure how close they got to the finals of other ones, but yeah.
I think they've been the two best pairs this entire tournament. The underdogs, the Giant Slayers, as I said, Momo and Edu. First game in, beating Chingalan, crazy, and then Coki and John's festival of paddle and and victories, which was incredible. So this is what we were waiting for, man. This is what we like to see this. We like to see the changes. We like to see upsets. It makes the games exciting. And I think, you know what I think it is? It could be something about the opportunity that these people have. They fight the entire year so they can make it to the finals. It means so much to them. I have no idea. It doesn't mean that the other players don't care about it at all, but they probably know nearly for sure that they're going to be there. These players fight with everything that they have to try and be there. And if they're there, they're like, this is it. Like, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. I'm going to give everything I have. And they're just pumped.
Yeah,
they're just absolutely pumped. But with Coki, John taking out Momo and Edu, I think one of the main factors of that was John Sanz just devouring Alonso on the diagonal there because he's a lefty, And
he got him
again. Good advantage because it was a pretty decent, I think, comfortable game for Coki and John, and that was technically should have been one of the most, I guess, tied games. This was, it wasn't like a complete walkover, It was a 6-3, 7-5, but still, But it was, it's really cool to see all these players.
Yeah,
clash.
man. Look, if we gave the tournament sort of like not a tagline or something like that, but really it was filled with underdogs beating the top dogs, right?
Yeah, it was the underdog tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's something that you see, once every now and then. Obviously, it's the last tournament of the season, but the fact that, it's not just Coki and John proving everyone's beliefs wrong. It was also Momo and Edu. So, we just wanted to bring them up just to sort of take our hats off to them and just, appreciate the other players in the sport, right? That, we don't talk about as much, I guess, or, don't make it towards the finals. But, if you really want to see more interesting paddle, more different sort of play styles besides, your Chingalans and Kotapias, Momo is probably one of the most like technically impressive players that I've watched. And he's just able to play with like another player similar to Coello and Tapia, always with a smile on his face. He's losing, he's still got the smile on his face. He's hyping up his teammate. He's honestly like a dream teammate to have, really, because he doesn't give you that extra pressure that you probably don't need, especially for a younger player like Edu Alonso, right? You don't really need that sort of like not toxic atmosphere, but just unnecessary pressure. So
you want a role model, no?
Yeah. Exactly, right? And even though Momo isn't that much older, You know, he's
No.
still on the younger side, but
27, yeah.
yeah, he's a wise player, and you know, I think you know, Edu Alonso has already learned so much. If you look at the performance of Edu Alonso at the beginning of the year and see how much he's improved towards the end, man, I'm just excited to watch him play next season.
I think he's such a powerful forehand player.
Mm-hmm.
I think really, really watch out for him. His paddle IQ, I feel, is really high. Like he's really good at making good decisions. His lobs are insane. Like he's very defensive, and then he can build up a point for you.
Yeah.
You know, he will set a point up really intelligently for then to either him, but most likely Momo, you know, to finish it off. And it's something that I think maybe goes unnoticed. You know, these players that are more of like more tactical, more the Coellos and the Tapias, who are still insane, you know.
Yeah.
And have all these qualities, you know, but these players that go more unnoticed, like an Edu Alonso, like a Coki Nieto, in my opinion,
Yes.
as well.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, they get a bit overlooked. Coki Nieto is incredible. The fact that he barely misses is such a strong quality he has that it's very rare and many other players don't have, you know. And he's a backhand player.
Exactly.
Playing in a quite a defensive-ish style. You know, he's not a big smasher, but he's got incredible technique. He's super quick. Momo as well. The speed these players have, especially when you see them live, is crazy. Their feet move so quickly. It's insane.
Yeah, that's what, you know, kind of quickly touching on back on like watching this sport live in person versus, you know, watching it through your TV. Is that something that you can actually like pick up on like immediately? Is that the way that, you know, they somehow add more seconds into a minute than we do in real life, and the fact that they can turn and alter and track that ball that's been smashed at them and still pick it up and scoop it off the ground and keep it in play? Is that something that, you know, really strikes you when you watch paddle in real life?
I guess because this was my first experience of it, and as we've said, it's a slow court. I think expecting it to be a bit faster paced, because that's what I'd been told by friends and by people who've watched it before. That the biggest difference is how fast the game is watching it live. So I wasn't as impressed with that. Mm-hmm. I was really impressed with the few smashes I saw, like a few of like Stupa's jump smash. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, I love it.
Just to see that the whip, the speed of the whip they give to their arm is ridiculous, and how fast the ball just pops off their racket. That's something crazy as well.
Yeah, and for the ball to be in as well. We can all smash a ball as hard as we can, but for that ball to touch the ground and then leave the court or wherever, that level of precision is always just like insane to me. So that's incredible, man.
I wanted to ask you as well about let's talk a little bit about the women's.
Yes,
the women's part, and I think we've got one of the biggest highlights now of this game is Delphi Brea, that, you know, had her partner Bea González pull out the last minute with an injury, had to be replaced with Veronica Virceda. Mm-hmm. What did you make of that? What were your what were your thoughts on that?
It's another example of, you know, a duo that probably shouldn't have made it as far as they did, considering, you know, the context of their partnership. They came into this tournament as an unknown pair. They're going up against players that have not just played this whole season together, they've played multiple seasons together. In my books, that's either there's something special, or the players that they're playing up against really made mistakes, I think. I think the advantage of playing against you know, a duo that really hasn't spent a lot of time to learn each other's styles. You know, obviously they have their relationship professionally within paddle, but, you know, when they're up on the court together, considering that Delphi played with Bea for the majority, pretty much the whole season, and for them for Bea to pair up with sorry, not Bea, fucking Delphi Brea, to pair up with you know, it's a tongue twister, to pair up with Virceda And to get to they claimed third place. Obviously, they played the lucky losers game, which was kind of fun that they did this tournament. It was nuts.
Yeah.
It was they beat duos that they shouldn't have beaten. Obviously, women's paddle is a little bit slower by nature than men's, right? And when you get them on a slow court, really, I think the sort of technicality and the strategy is what really is the strong suit for this tournament when it comes to the women's, like,
and endurance as well.
And endurance.
I think.
Oh my God, yeah.
Something we should like stamina. Like points are going to be 5 minutes long, so
exactly.
If you can,
it's the physical stamina 100%, but also the mental stamina to keep locked in and dialed in, and to keep returning the most annoying shots being played at you, which is essentially what the finals was with Jose Maria and Sanchez, who are just an absolute master at keeping cool, knowing how to slow the game down even on a slow court like this, and just make it so hard. And obviously, we were talking about Delphi Brea playing with Verseda here, but just to touch on the women's final, obviously we can't not leave that unspoken about. But it's a great testament for Sanchez and Jose Maria, because they play with they're just pros, man. Obviously they're pros, but they just do it so well.
They're the number ones.
The game against Gemma Triay and Claudia Fernandez as well, who are also genuinely one of my favorite pairings. They couldn't even touch Sanchez and Jose Maria. You know what I mean? It was they got outplayed, I think, pretty badly. And obviously,
it was easy. It was an easy 6-3, 6-3.
Yeah. There you go. That's kind of what we were expecting from the Coello, Tapia, Coki, John fan. It's a scoreline like that, but it didn't happen. A lot of the earlier quarters and semis for the women's they went on for these like crazy 3-set long games. It was such a tough game to watch. As a viewer, right? You have to sort of understand the importance of playing at this speed, waiting for these shots, doing I think for the finals for Jose Maria Sanchez versus Gemma Triay, Claudia Fernandez, I think Jose Maria and Sanchez smashed together 6 times. There were only 6 smashes, I think, right?
In the final, there were, so between Sanchez had actually really good smash conversion rate, 5 out of 6.
Right, there
Jose
you go.
Maria had 2 out of 7.
Yes.
Triay had 0 out of 7, and Fernandez 1 out of 1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you
but
see,
compare that to 62.
Yes. Yeah, you compare it. Coello and Tapia did 62 smashes, right? So the data doesn't lie. There is a difference of play style, right? Obviously, we want to see. And we're getting close to talking about the speed of the court. So if you guys are interested about that, just hold on for a little bit. But obviously, we want to see the smashes. We want to see the big plays. We want to see the easy winners where they just pop it out the court. But that really wasn't the situation for the whole tournament in general, but especially for the women's this game, this tournament. Like, it was just a much slower game where, as we said, they had to lock in mentally and make sure they were dialed in, because the moment that you lose concentration, they're going to take advantage and play a difficult shot for you to return. And that's how they did it. And so they went on 6-3. But really, going back to our original point, let's take our hats off for Delphi Brea and Verseda for coming in as an unknown duo and getting 3rd place. I think that's pretty awesome. And I don't know.
And to Verseda coming in at 17th in the ranking, just it's the 16th best. And she was next in line, stepped up and gave, I feel like, really good performances with Delphi, so props to them. And I guess it also props to Vero, but also props to Delphi,
Yeah, definitely.
Taking on like a completely new pairing with no chance to I guess, really a small window to prepare tactically and physically and understand your partner. It's you go into it with a big disadvantage, and being able to claim that 3rd spot, I think is a really, really positive thing they should take out of it 100%.
Yeah, I'll also add on one more thing that, kind of added, a more interesting dynamic to the game, is the fact that Delphi Brea will be playing with Gemma Triay next year, which I really think is going to be a great pairing. You
it's
know,
going to be so fun.
Yeah, if you know, a lot of people do have a lot of love for Gemma Triay and Claudia Fernandez in terms of their relationship, but also how well they play together. I really think, you know, a lot of people ask why don't they stay together? Like they're really not that far off. You know, obviously it's Sanchez, Jose Maria, Delphi Brea, Bea Gonzalez, who are also splitting. And, you know, I think we covered it in our last video. If you guys are interested in that, we have a pairings video we posted last week. But it's almost like they're doing a swap. And, you know, Delphi Brea is now playing with Gemma Triay. And I think it's almost confirmed, not 100%.
I was going to ask.
I think it is. I think I've seen a lot of going around. But Claudia Fernandez should, might, could, would, you know, I don't know what word you want to put in there. Will play with Bea Gonzalez. And, Bea Gonzalez. If I was Claudia Fernandez, which we touched on last week, I'd be a little bit scared considering Bea's, you know, history with injuries. I can't imagine the frustration that Delphi had, not exactly in circumstances like this, playing the Barcelona finals with a pairing that you didn't really spend the most of the season playing. And that happened, in a few tournaments this season, really important ones as well. And I can't imagine the frustrations sitting at home because your partner's injured and you can't get these points that are super, super important.
Yeah.
It's a really exciting time for women's paddle because I think, you know, if people want to go into why Gemma Triay wants to sort of, you know, part ways with Claudia, I really think that it's in, you know, we've mentioned it before, but, you know, Gemma Triay is a little bit older than Claudia Fernandez. I think they're at kind of opposite ends of their career timelines here. Yeah. I really see this as Gemma Triay going, look, I probably got, I don't know how many more seasons, but in terms of taking that number one spot, I'm going to do everything I can to get it. And if that means partnering with Delphi Brea, let's fucking go. Let's do it. And, you know, that means, you know, it is the end of a great, powerful duo of Gemma and Claudia. I do hope, a little bit of me also hopes that, you know, Claudia will play really well with Bea Gonzalez if that does go ahead. So. And
Claudia is an incredible player, and she's so young. The only thing she'll do is get better.
Yes.
Seeing her live as well was a really amazing opportunity.
Yeah, one more, I guess, low light / highlight, you know, for Delphi and Verseda. They knocked out Ustera and Alonso as well pretty early on in the
first
women's
game,
final. It was the quarters, right? So you know, that's a shame, right? But it's definitely not going to be the last finals that Ustera and Alonso either you know, come together or you know, individually in their careers.
Imagine though if then this would have actually been the underdog fest. If Ustera and Alonso had managed to do like something crazy and maybe not even win the final, but like get to the final, that would have been so good. Yeah.
But I was a little bit sad for their loss. But you know, that's the game, and we got an amazing finals anyway. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we've pretty much covered everything we wanted to talk about this Barcelona finals. Incredible tournament. It just puts a smile on my face. I think I can see Connor as well.
Yeah, I've had a smile on my face the whole episode. Dude.
And like just chatting to each other, we're like, what is happening? What is going on? If you haven't seen the game, go watch it. The final, men's final, because it's any of these games are really good to watch. And so do that, because it if you're a paddle player as well, you will learn a lot, I think, from this. And I guess to finish up with our last topic of the day, Connor, I think we should talk a little bit about, you know, just for you guys as well. So in case you don't know, you know, how much court conditions affect gameplay, and how much they affect the style and the outcome of matches, you know, the characteristics that the courts have. The thing about this tournament and why it was so, I guess, different and why it was so slow, it was because usually on a normal tournament, you'd go into quarterfinals, which is where this tournament started, with with, 20 something games played on that court, which we'll get into it now, which makes the court faster. The wear and tear of a court that is slow by nature will make it faster. So quarterfinals started with a fresh, brand new court, and that's why it happened. That's why even players were talking about it and kind of apologizing and stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, hear your take on it, because I think we've got different opinions on this, me and Connor. So I just want to go ahead and give the word to Connor, and just what do you think of this?
Yeah, I'm split up into two minds, really. I think the more I've sort of, got into paddle, I've appreciated the sort of smaller nuances and the smaller sort of the changes of the tournament, right? This is not like a pretty low IQ take, but really all I want to say is that we should get rid of all the slow courts off the circuit, and we should only play on fast courts.
Say it with your chest, man. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what people want to see. People don't want to go, well, the courts were slow, but it was really impressive technically that, where they had a 50 long rally and no smashes in a game. Like, we want to see the smashes. We want to see people pop it out the court. From from the audience perspective, I'm a little bit torn between, especially for finals, even though we had an amazing finals and we just spent the last however long saying how amazing it was. I still love the tournaments and the games that are just played at rapid astronomic speeds compared to this slow, very sort of like mentally challenging, speed of a game that really I'm used to. We see it sort of fluctuate a little bit, right? And obviously, Hugh, I think you probably hold some opinions on why not every tournament is like this fast-paced one. I think, if we can name a couple of off our head, which are almost known for being super fast. I think Acapulco this year was an incredibly fast court. What was it? Valladolid?
Valladolid, yeah.
Was also, super fast courts. Probably one of the craziest finals as well from that tournament, where it was just played at super fast speeds, right?
The best game of the season, in my opinion. And the Valladolid final was incredible.
That's Hugh's favorite. I think the more I learn about paddle, as I said, I appreciate why it's like that. So I just lost the light. We'll continue anyway. It's just kind of like, I don't know how to word it. There's no nice way to say it, but I think it's a little bit boring sometimes when it's like a super slow game, man. Like it's something that these people can, alter and change, and especially for finals, it was such a slow court. Again, we had an amazing time, but maybe if I preface it like, I don't know, like this, I think we heard a lot over the weekend from, especially going on from the quarters all the way to the finals. And hearing the commentators mention that, the courts were much slower during the quarterfinals than the semis. And in my mind already, it's like, how is the court changing? Where's the not explanation behind it, but what? I kind of want to know why. First of all, Hugh, and if you can tell me that, that's great. But also, Hugh, if you could also mention, why is it important that we get a bit of like technical variety and characteristics from courts, throughout the whole season.
Yeah. So I think, first of all, let's I guess get into the actual the reasons for courts being faster or slower, and not just courts, but like, I guess, atmospheric conditions. Acapulco, Valladolid, Madrid's, other places like this, they are at a higher altitude in terms of like sea level. That makes the balls, I guess, float a lot more.
Right.
Like the higher up you are, the more bounce it will have. A smash in Madrid versus a smash in Barcelona is completely different. Even though it's the same country, Madrid is like, I think it's something like 400 meters above sea level.
Right.
Which makes it, which gives it different, as I said, different atmospheric conditions. Same with Acapulco. I'm not sure on the actual number, but it's probably, higher up. Valladolid, very close to Madrid as well. So that's the same reason. So that's one of the factors. And then it's also about the how the court is made. Like what's the surface like? You know, is it turf? Does it have sand? Is it mixed? What's how they build it? What's underneath? Is it floorboards, etc., etc., etc. For this tournament specifically, you know, and I guess any other tournament, the wear and tear of a court can make it, you know, can make sand shift and compact. You know, the sand layer that's on the court gets like more distributed with player movements and bouncing of the balls. The more it's played on, you know, and then it basically means that as the sand, I guess, as it settles, it becomes less effective at like creating drag on the ball. Also, like the fibers of the grass, of the artificial grass, like wearing down and like flattening. You know, it gives it less. What's the word? Stickiness.
Friction.
Any sense. Friction. Yeah, exactly. It reduces friction and it increases the ball movement. You know.
Okay.
It makes it feel like less grippy. If you know what I mean.
We're turning into a science podcast now, dude, talking about physics, which is an altitude, which is actually, it actually makes so much sense, really. But
it just so that I guess that the people know, you know, if you follow us, I think it's also like important and interesting if you're a paddle nerd like us to know about these things. Also, like climate and humidity.
Yes,
Barcelona has got a very humid climate, and right now in the winter, it's not freezing, but it's a bit cold. Cold will also make the balls feel heavier. Humidity will make everything slow down as well.
Exactly.
So that's something to. All of these things affect court speed basically. And my take on it is that I think I do agree for the show, for the spectacle. Faster courts are really fun to watch as a fan, but I also think I don't think we would have had this turn of events in the finals without this type of court. Because Coki, as we said in the beginning, Coki and John knew how to capitalize on that. And they saw this opportunity and they were like, well, these are the conditions. Let's adapt to them. Let's make our play style benefit from this slow court, you know. It gives more variation. It gives different types of paddle. It reminds me more of like an older version of paddle where points were longer, where it was more about building a point rather than, all right, well, just the first lob will just be smashed by whoever and that the point's over, you know. So I think it's healthy for the sport. I think it's good. Too slow? Okay, maybe not. Yeah. Even like LeBron, you know, post-match interview after, I think it was the quarters after the first game, he was like, apologizing to the fans. I'm sorry that we couldn't give you the show that you guys deserve and the show that you guys all want to see. Which I'm like, you know, yeah, but if, you know, as a paddle fan, you should watch all of it. And especially if you also play paddle, trust me, slower courts are where you'll learn the most. A lot more technical shots, etc. So yeah.
Yeah, basically. Obviously, you know, I'm voicing maybe the devil's opinion on having faster courts.
No, but it's super fair. It's a valid opinion, man. Like, I get it.
I think
absolutely.
So. But also, you know, in a world where all they did was prioritize faster courts and only played on faster courts, we would also just get the same outcome, I think. You know, even though we kind of have already this year. But I think it would just be like a montage of Coello and Tapia just like smashing a ball into space after doing like a portraits or whatever, and it just probably not being that fun after, you know, 5 or 6 tournaments that are played at insane speeds. So, you know, I think the variation is important for the sport, and as you said, it shows off, you know, the many beautiful sides of paddle that, you know, is played and how to play it at this crazy level. So, you know, exactly. I guess that's kind of you can't get everything you want. We all want exciting games, but we also want to see like the technical level of paddle being pushed every time. So, you know, there's going to be cross sections at points, but you know, we need variety, and that's kind of why they've, I guess, organized the calendar like this. So, and they choose to do a final Barcelona finals on a slow court as well. So that really means that they're not putting all their chips on it, but they're backing the quality of paddle that comes from a slower court as well. For such a prestigious event. So, you can definitely appreciate it from that angle. But, let us also know if you agree with either myself or Hugh. What do you guys prefer? Do you guys like seeing the faster paced games where it's just more eye candy, or do you like seeing
do you guys like anywhere you are in the world? Like, how have you tried playing in different types of courts, different countries, different climates? Like, does it affect your play style personally? We'd love to hear about that. Well, I think that's all for today, Connor. If there's anything else you want to add,
I think we're all good. I think we kind of nailed our little things. I think I'll let you say goodbye to the episode, but I will also just say, thanks so much. This is our 4th episode. And before Hugh sends us off, I just want to say thanks so much for the support. Obviously, we're taking a small little break for the holidays, but we're coming back stronger than ever. And I don't want to make Hugh repeat what I said, so I'll give it back to Hugh. And I just wanted to say thanks to everyone. And I read all the comments and everything like that. We both do, and it's very sweet, and it's given us a lot of excitement for next year, not just for the season, but just for off-court podcasts in general. So here, Hugh, here's the mic back, and send us off for Christmas holidays.
Every time we say something, we do have to, as you guys probably tell, we have to divide stuff and the things we say, but we always say it from the both of us. This is a completely 50-50 effort, and we are a team. So everything that I say, I echo through to Connor as well. But that's all for today, guys. Thanks for joining us. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on the Barcelona finals and the topics we touched on today. What's your take on the season as a whole? What's your take on this tournament? Also, again, any other content you'd like to see, we'd love to hear from you. Follow us on socials and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all our content. We are growing on YouTube, which is super exciting, on other platforms as well, but YouTube it's more difficult. So we're really excited about that. So do hit that subscribe button. Merry Christmas to all those who are celebrating, and the happiest new year to all of you. Thank you for those that have started the journey with us, even though it's been short. We're still at the beginning of this incredible adventure that Connor and I and all of you guys are on together, and it's really all thanks to you guys. So all we have to do is say thank you. It's the end of the season, and as Connor said, we'll have a little break as well, but we're coming back stronger than ever in January with some really exciting ideas. I mean, we can't reveal anything yet, but some really cool videos planned for you guys.
Sorry to interrupt. Dude, if you guys have made it to the end of the video, I think we should tell them what our little surprise is to bring back to the podcast episode, what we picked up. Because if they're here listening to this now, can we just say it as a little thank you, a little present from us? Hugh, what did you pick up while you were at the Barcelona quarterfinals?
I picked up a signed Babolat Counter Viper racket that Coki Nieto played with. Not the one he played in the final, and it's not the 2025 Babolat Counter Viper version. It's the 2024, but it's one that he himself has played with, and it's signed by him. Won't tell you guys how I got it, but yeah, we'll reveal it on the on the next episode. I guess thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right.
Peace.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.